Hello, everybody, and welcome to the United Stand. We are joined by Fabrizio Romano. Fabrizio, thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you.
Let's get straight into things and start off with the main topic of conversation around Manchester United at the moment, which is the ownership of Manchester United. I mean, I saw that you tweeted that Qatar are confident about the taking over Manchester United, about becoming the new owners of Manchester United. Can you tell us what makes Qatar so confident about this?
They feel their bid is the best one. It's not just on the financial side. Of course, on the financial side, they know that it's still probably not enough to convince the Glazers. So now is the normal process when you want to buy a big club like Manchester United. It takes time. It takes time to conversate and to find a way. So on this, we have to wait. On the financial side, we have to wait. But from what I understand, they are really convinced of their proposal on the technical side, I would say. So the investment they want to do for Manchester United would be on the training ground, the facilities, the stadium, of course, the team, but also the academy. And so the youth players, this is something that they really want to do. So they feel their bid is the best one for the future of Manchester United. Of course, there is an open race at this stage because we know there is the Ineos group with Sir Jim Ratcliffe still in the race. So everything is still open, but the Qatari bid is there. It's not true, as I saw a few days ago, that they left the conversation or they want to leave the conversation. They are there. They're speaking to Manchester United. They want to find a way, and they're convinced that their bid and their project, I would say, is the best one for the future of the club. So let's see how the conversation will continue. Now it's up to them and the Glazers to find a way. We know that the Glazers always asked for 6-7 billions to sell Manchester United, so it's normal that it's not an easy negotiation, but the process is there, and so it's time to wait and see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, all Manchester United fans are definitely waiting eagerly to see what happens around that. But that's some good news. That's some good news for that the fans will be happy about, definitely. I mean, I want to move on to transfers now and stuff coming up to the summer. I know it's going to be a really busy summer for you, as always. But, I mean, Plettigal reported earlier that Man United are not seriously considering Harry Kane and that Osimhen seems to be a more attractive target for them. But then last week, I saw that it was reported that Harry Kane was a top target. What is the situation with the striker with Manchester United? Is it Kane or Osimhen? Who is it that Manchester United is? Who is their top target right now? Because there is contrasting reports coming out.
I think there are contrasting reports because nothing has been decided yet. This is the reason. And you don't decide your top target in March. Of course, you can follow top players. It's normal because this is what Manchester United are doing. They're following the development of Victor Osimhen. They appreciate Harry Kane. This is absolutely normal. But they've not decided yet, okay, this is the player we want to sign because this depends on the budget. It also depends on the clubs. For example, Napoli at this stage, they don't want to negotiate or to make a price for Victor Osimhen. So the expectation in the industry is that there will be a chance to sign Osimhen in the summer for many top clubs interested, but at the moment it's not clear yet how much Napoli want to open talks for Victor Osimhen. They are now going to win the Serie A after 33 years. Also, they are fighting in the Champions League, so they don't want to be involved in any negotiation for Osimhen, Kvaratskhelia, or any other of their stars. And this is why for Osimhen at the moment, no decision has been made on Napoli side or on any other club to open negotiations with Napoli. For Harry Kane, I think it's about Tottenham. Manchester United appreciate Harry Kane. They will love to sign Harry Kane. He's a player they really love. But the reality is that it's up to Tottenham. And Tottenham at this stage have no intention to negotiate with any club. They want to keep Harry Kane. They want to offer Harry Kane a new deal. So nothing has changed. This is the reality around Harry Kane or Victor Osimhen. So for sure, Man United are going for a striker, as we know, in the summer. For sure, they are exploring options. But I think March is too early to decide he is the top target, he's the player we want to sign, because Napoli at this stage don't want to negotiate and because Tottenham want to keep Harry Kane. So it's too early to say what's going to happen for these two players. There are also other options around Europe, and so I would keep the race open. It's not just Kane or Osimhen for Man United.
Do you know, on Kane's situation, obviously Spurs want to keep Kane. Do you know if it's Kane's preference to stay at Spurs or to move elsewhere?
At the moment, Kane is speaking to Tottenham on new contract. So he's discussing at Tottenham. I think it's going to be really important for him to understand who's going to be the coach, because the expectation is for Antonio Conte to leave Tottenham at the end of the season. So what kind of project they want to do, what kind of investments there will be at Tottenham, who is the new coach, what kind of tactical idea he will have for Tottenham. So I think before deciding on new contract, Harry Kane will think about the Tottenham project in general. He loves the club, we know. So it's important for him to understand what's the future of Tottenham. And this is the point of conversation. We have to remember also about Daniel Levy. He's the same guy who said no to Manchester City many times 2 years ago. I think the situation has not changed at this stage. He wants to keep Harry Kane at the club. He wants to fight to keep Harry Kane, and he's prepared to offer him a new deal again and again in the next weeks. So this is why I think March is way too early to know what's going to happen with Kane. I think it will be more clear probably April, May, this is when Man United and many other clubs will understand how it will go for the strikers domino. But Man United will be there in the strikers domino for sure.
And then with Osimhen, just the last little bit on Osimhen, he obviously stated it's his dream to move to the Premier League, and it's been reported that Chelsea are in the race, potentially Arsenal as well, maybe, and Manchester United. Is there are a lot of different clubs monitoring Osimhen right now and would be in from in the summer potentially as well?
Yes, I think yes, there will be a big race. This guy is doing fantastic in Serie A and in Champions League with Napoli. I think he's probably the most interesting striker on the market right now because after last season, many clubs were not convinced about him on spending big money, but now the price is really important and it's still not clear. As I mentioned yesterday, we have many rumors on Victor Osimhen, 100 millions, but we are not sure if Napoli are prepared to accept 100 million. So if they want more than this to sell Victor Osimhen. So Man United for sure are looking for that kind of player. Chelsea will be in the market for a striker. Bayern will be in the market for a striker too. So it will be a big race between many top clubs. And as you mentioned, the player dreams of Premier League, but it is also important to understand how much Napoli will ask for Victor Osimhen, because I'm not sure that 100 million euros will be enough. For example, at the end of last summer, when there was some discussion between Jorge Mendes and Manchester United on the possibility of bringing Cristiano Ronaldo out of the club with maybe Victor Osimhen replacing him, Napoli always wanted more than 100 million euros for Osimhen, and it was last summer. Imagine now after scoring so many goals and winning the Serie A title with Napoli. So it's not going to be an easy negotiation at all.
Yeah, my opinion is it's definitely going to be over 100 million, but we'll just have to wait to see and see into the summer when the prices kind of start getting put out there. I'm sure you'll be one of the first ones to come out with that. But I mean, I wanted to actually speak about the goalkeeping situation in Manchester United, because it has been reported that Erik ten Hag might want a goalkeeper that can play out from the back better than David De Gea can. David De Gea has obviously been great this season, but he's reported that he wants a goalkeeper that can maybe play with his feet a little bit more. There's been rumours of Manchester United being linked to Costa, but there's also been rumours of them being linked to David Raya from Brentford. What is the update on both of them goalkeepers, and is there potential moves to Manchester United in the summer on the cards?
So for Costa, we have rumors because it's true that Manchester United have sent their scouts to follow the player many times. It was also before the World Cup, so it was like September, October, November. They know the player very well. They are tracking him, as many other clubs, not just Manchester United. He has the release clause for more than 70 million euros into his new contract with Porto, so it's not an easy deal at all. But for sure, Man United are following the player. For David Raya, they know there is going to be an opportunity in the summer. Manchester United and other clubs too, because David Raya, from what I understand, he wants a new challenge. He's not going to extend the contract with Brentford. He hopes for a top 6 transfer in the summer, and so Raya could be one of the possibilities. But from what I understand, they're still speaking to David De Gea. They're still speaking to David De Gea for a new contract. They're still discussing on different terms. This is why they didn't trigger the option to extend the contract until June 2024, but because they want to change the salary structure for David De Gea and find a way together with the player. So I would not be surprised if at the end the goalkeeper of Man United next season will be again David De Gea. He has a good relationship with many teammates, good relationship with the coach. Of course, with his feet, he's probably not the best in the world, but we know that he is also an important and popular player into the dressing room for Manchester United. So at the moment, the conversation between David De Gea and Man United is still ongoing, and they're still discussing over new contracts. So it also depends on the budget. For example, we have to see who's going to be the owner, how much they will invest on the goalkeeper, how much they will invest on the striker. So sometimes the market is also about the domino, as it was last summer, for example, for Manchester United.
Would it be, if David De Gea stayed and extended his contract, could Manchester United still be going for a goalkeeper in the summer as well,
I think this could
as
be
someone
a
who could compete?
But I don't see a goalkeeper like Costa or Raya joining Manchester United and being the second goalkeeper or the backup goalkeeper. I think if they leave their clubs, it's because they want guarantees of being the first goalkeeper. They are important players. David Raya wants to leave to play, and the same for Diogo Costa, who is happy in Porto. He's an important player in Porto. So these players will only leave if they have guarantees of playing. And with David De Gea, you never have guarantees because he's an excellent goalkeeper. So this is why at the moment, I think in case Man United will go for a goalkeeper, I think it will be a different profile, different player.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see what happens. If them two keepers did come in, I don't think they'd be the ones sitting on the bench, in my personal opinion. But we'd have to wait and see what happens in the summer and with David De Gea's contracts and stuff like that. But I mean, moving on to Anthony Martial, there's been reports saying that Erik ten Hag is willing to sell Martial in the summer, but from my point of view, it'd be very hard to sell someone on 200 grand a week who's constantly injured. So what is the situation with Anthony Martial, and is he going to move on in the summer, do you think?
It always depends on who wants to buy him. And the transfer market works like this. So, for example, 1 year ago, there was some possibility with Juventus, but now Juventus have many players in that position. Italian clubs have always been following him, but at the moment, he's really quiet. I know the player wants to fight to continue Manchester United to do well in the second part of the season. So, on Martial's side, he's still determined to fight with Manchester United, but we have to see in the summer. At the moment, the situation is really quiet. For sure, Manchester United will explore options for many players. I think they will try to make some money with some of these players, and Martial could be one of them. But at the moment, there is not a concrete negotiation, a concrete discussion with any club. Again, I will keep an eye on Italian clubs because, for example, it was years ago, but Inter had an interest in him. It was 3 years ago, Juventus last year. So he's always been appreciated in Italy, but at this stage, no one is negotiating, and also his salary is huge, as you mentioned, and so it's complicated for Italian clubs to pay that money. So this is why we have to wait, and I think this is something to be decided like in June, July, during the summer, not now.
Depends if he can stay fit, I suppose. Depend on he's back fit now. It depends if he can stay fit for the rest of the season. We'll have to wait and see. I wanted to talk about a midfielder really quickly. I mean, we know about De Jong from last season and the saga that had. Obviously, we played Barcelona in the Champions League and not the Champions League. I wish it was the Champions League, in the Europa League, and we won. They got beat at the Theatre of Dreams. I was there. De Jong obviously is a massive target for Erik ten Hag. Would that be something you'd want to explore again in the summer, especially with what's happening with Barcelona now? I mean, the ref charges, could that cause them issues? They're obviously in a little bit of a sticky situation financially. Could they be looking to move a player like De Jong on this summer, and could he be an option for Man United again?
I think it's going to be really difficult. I know last summer was a big story, but we always said here the player has not changed his mind. The player wants to stay in Barcelona, and at the moment it's still the same. I think it's exactly the same situation as 1 year ago. We know that Manchester United, and especially Erik ten Hag, loves the player, so he's a big fan of De Jong. He has an excellent relationship with him. But the reality is that Frankie De Jong is really happy in Barcelona, as he mentioned last week in the interview in Spain. Is the reality. Frankie also last summer always told his agents and people next to him that he wanted to stay in Barcelona. He's happy with the club, with the city, with the coach. This season he's playing a lot. He's a crucial player for Barcelona. So I think that it's going to be really complicated to sign Frankie de Jong in the summer. The only way to open this story and to try to find a way to sign Frankie de Jong is to convince Frankie. But at the moment, Frankie has not communicated to Barca or to his agents that he wants to leave. At the moment, Frankie is happy there. And so is exactly the same situation as last year. We know that last summer, Man United tried. Man United were in very advanced talks with Barcelona, but never advanced or never agreed with the player. So that was the reality. Let's see now what happens. But as of now, Frankie is still very happy in Barcelona. And the feeling is that something has changed between him and Xavi. Xavi is now playing him. He's now a crucial player for Xavi. And so I think it's even more difficult than last summer to sign Frankie de Jong.
I mean, I thought the trip to Old Trafford would have changed his mind, but no, it's a question I've got to ask. But it does seem like one of them situations where it is quite slow moving, and I don't think the fans should really get that excited about De Jong coming in the summer. But we have to ask the question. And on to Wan-Bissaka, because he's worked himself into Erik ten Hag's team. He's a player that wasn't part of Erik ten Hag's plans. He's been playing quite regularly recently. But we're still getting linked to signing a potential right back in the summer. What's the situation with Wan-Bissaka? And are Man United still looking to sign a right back? And if they do, does that mean Wan-Bissaka will move on?
I think this is an open situation because it was a strange story. Wan-Bissaka in November and December, he was on the market. Man United were trying to find a solution. Then he was very good in changing his story with Manchester United in January to start to play at top level, to train at top level. And so credits to Wan-Bissaka, because it's never easy when you are on the market to change your situation and have this kind of second part of the season. At the moment, I think Manchester United are very happy with him and with Dalot. So they wait for Wan-Bissaka situation to be clarified in the summer. Wan-Bissaka had some approaches in the January transfer window from Wolves, from West Ham, from Crystal Palace, but it was always loan deal. This is why for Man United was a no. So I'm sure that Man United will not accept any loan for Wan-Bissaka. In case they will receive an important proposal financially for a permanent transfer, we have to see. But at this moment, nothing is advanced with any other right back. We had rumors on Jeremy Frimpong because he's a player they're following, he's a player they appreciate. But at the moment, Man United are not negotiating to sign Frimpong. So the concrete situation is that they're happy with Wan-Bissaka and Dalot. I think on Wan-Bissaka, the decision will be made at the end of the season together with the player. But as of now, he completely changed his story. And so I would not be surprised if at the end they will invest that money on different positions.
Yeah, I'm really happy with Wan-Bissaka. I think he's doing really, really well. Him and Dalot are great options to have. I'm happy with that situation. But obviously, Erik ten Hag, if he's gone and changed his mind, then that's credit to Wan-Bissaka on that. Lastly, before you get off, I know you're very busy. I just wanted to ask about two players and a quick update on them. And that is Gonzalo Ramos and Benjamin Sesko. Will the opportunities be for them players to leave in the summer? Because I know a lot of the talk is on Kane and Osimhen, but they're two really good strikers right now, in up-and-coming strikers in Europe as well.
Yes, Gonzalo Ramos is doing fantastic, but he has a release clause 120 million euros, so it's not going to be easy to negotiate with Benfica, as we saw between Chelsea and Enzo Fernandez in January. So at the moment, Benfica really want to keep the player, and I think it's not easy at all to find a way for Gonzalo Ramos. But we will see. The clause is there, and for Sesko, I think he will be with Leipzig at least for one season. We know the deal was already completed last summer. Then he stayed on loan to Salzburg. I think he will spend at least one season at Red Bull Leipzig to probably improve his value, and then maybe one day to play in the Premier League. But at the moment, I think the idea is to have him at Leipzig next season.
Okay, thank you very much, Fabrizio, for coming on, and we'll get you on as well, as we usually do, get more updates in closer to the summer as well. International break coming up, so I'm sure there'll be a lot to talk about. But thank you, Fabrizio, for coming on and speaking to us. Okay, I'll see you on the next one.
Thank you. Ciao, ciao, ciao.
Bye. So everyone, that was Fabrizio Romano speaking all things transfers coming up to the transfer window in the summer. I mean, I thought we got some really good answers from Fabrizio there. It definitely brought me back down to earth on a few situations, and I don't know about you guys, but I mean, I was very confident in the fact of that we could potentially push for De Jong again in the summer. That seems to be a no-go right now. It seems like Frenkie de Jong just does not want to leave Barcelona. And I mean, if that's his decision, then that's his decision. Also, the goalkeeping situation. A lot of you in the chat were saying, Beth, hold it. He's not coming. David Raya isn't coming. Costa isn't coming. David Hay is going to be the goalkeeper. And that could definitely potentially be the case, especially with the contract situations with David De Gea coming up, and the fact that David De Gea looks like he might sign a new contract. Is David De Gea going to sign a new contract for then a Raya or a Costa to come in and make David De Gea number 2 goalkeeper? It'd be highly unlikely, in my opinion, that David De Gea would want to sit on the bench, and there's definitely no way that any of them 2 goalkeepers would sit on the bench. So it would be, it's interesting. It's interesting to see the reports coming out and what actually is happening with Manchester United and what actually is getting reported. Because, like I said with Fabrizio Romano at the start, this week it's been reported that Osimhen's the main target. Last week it was Harry Kane being the main target, and it's a different thing every week. And I think as close as we get to the summer, the more we will know about them situations. But it definitely was a reality check. People in the chat, you know what? Go for it. Bring the tissues for Beth. I still think we might sign a goalkeeper. I know Romano's saying right now, it doesn't seem very concrete, but a lot can happen between now and the end of the season. So I'm still confident that we might sign a goalkeeper. I mean, it's been reported quite a lot, but I think what we can take from it 100% is that the priority position is a striker. And that is definitely something Manchester United are going for. And when I look at the striker situation right now, Martial's going to push to stay. I think he will end up staying because I don't think anybody's going to come in and pay what we want or even his wages for Anthony Martial. So I think Martial will stay. I think Weghorst will probably go back to Burnley, or maybe he'll get another loan away from Burnley, but I don't think we'll keep him on. So I think it'll be Martial and another striker, unless Weghorst wants to stay and be like third choice. I mean, realistically, that means second choice because Martial is always injured, unless that happened. But when you look at the striker situations right now, this has made it very clear, this interview for me, I think personally it is going to be either Kane or Osimhen. I think they are the 2 main options, which makes me extremely happy because them 2 options are both amazing options. They're the best options. I personally would prefer Osimhen. I've said that multiple times on the channel. There's a video coming on Osimhen and Kane soon, by the way, that I'm filming today as well. I personally would prefer Osimhen, but Harry Kane's still a world-class striker. He 100% is. So either of them 2 options would be brilliant for us. The other options on the table, Gonzalo Ramos, there's no way we're paying 120 million release cost for Gonzalo Ramos. I don't think that's going to happen, especially with how well he's doing at Benfica. They're not going to let him go for anything less than his release clause. So I know a lot of people have the favourite striker that they want to get. I know a few people want Gonzalo Ramos. I don't see that happening. Benjamin Sesko is probably most definitely going to do a year at Leipzig. I also don't think he's quite ready for that next step up yet. I think it is going to be in the future, but not yet. You look at the other options, Jonathan David, for me personally, isn't good enough to come in as a starting number 9. It does seem to be whittled down to Kane or Osimhen right now on the market. So Man United are going to have to get one of them. They're going to have to get one of them because we're in desperate need of a striker. So that means if Kane signs a new deal for Spurs, you're going to have to be forced into paying that 120, 130 million off Napoli for Osimhen. They're going to have to. Manchester United will have to do that. And that also gives Napoli a very, very strong hold in negotiations when it comes to negotiating the summer. I'm excited for the saga to start. I really, really am, and excited to see what will happen in that saga. I'm Team Osimhen. I think it will be Osimhen. I have a feeling we will actually get Osimhen, but let's just wait and see. I won't be surprised if it was Harry Kane either, but why you'd want to sign a new deal at Spurs right now, I do not know. Get your thoughts in the chat. We'll talk about this a little bit. SK says, good stuff, Beth. De Jong, we've got to forget. Don't have time now. A goalkeeper likely will be a younger one to transition in. Be ready for when he's cheap. Yeah, a lot of people are saying that we want a young goalkeeper to transition in. For me personally, I'd like to get a goalkeeper now to come and play. That's my personal opinion. Everybody knows that. But other people have different opinions, and you might be right, I might be right. We'll just have to wait and see what happens. But if David De Gea is going to sign a new contract, then it definitely won't be a Costa or a Raya coming in. I highly, highly doubt, because as I said, them two keepers aren't sitting on the bench, and I doubt David De Gea would sign a new contract just to sit on the bench either. Like he shouldn't be sitting on the bench. He's a great goalkeeper. So we'll have to wait and see on that. It does look like it might be David De Gea. A lot of people saying the club is skint, and not if we get bought by Qatar. And like Romano said right at the start of the interview, Qatar look like the most likely option right now. Qatar are confident that they're going to get this deal over the line, and that's God, I should have started with this on the aftermatch comments. Qatar are very, very confident they're going to be able to get this deal over the line. There's absolutely no truth in the fact that Qatar are going to walk away. They want Manchester United. They have more money to offer than Jim Ratcliffe. They're in a stronger position than Jim Ratcliffe, in my opinion. I think the fans are more behind Qatar right now. And I know it's being reported otherwise on a lot of different platforms. Don't listen to everything you hear. We did a poll on United Stand, and I think it was like 96 or 90. I think it was 96% wanted Qatar. Qatar have a stronghold in the fans. Not that really matters. It's going to be who pays the most to the Glazers. Qatar have a strong position on money. They don't want to be ripped off, but they have the money there to outbid anybody right now. They have the money to outbid Sujin. That's a fact. Anybody in the race, they have the money to outbid them. They're the richest organisation right now in the race to buy Manchester United. So I do think Qatar, I'm confident this takeover is going to happen. I really, really am. I know a lot of people are worried. I've had a lot of people messaging me. I've had a lot of my friends talk about, I think the Glazers are going to keep the club. I don't think it's going to end up getting sold. I'm very confident that the club is going to get sold. They wouldn't be going through all this process if it wasn't going to happen. They won't be employing the Rain Group to do all of this and pay all this money to deal with these negotiations if they weren't planning to sell it. They are going to sell the club. It's just when it's going to happen. Hopefully it can happen before the summer. That's something I'm not confident it is. We know how slow this club moves anyway. When it comes to a deal and a takeover, the Glazers are going to be pushing for that 6 billion. They won't get that. They'll probably get pushed at a max 5.5. It's going to be a long process, in my opinion. I hope I'm wrong, but I hope it happens before the summer, and I think it will be Qatar. I think they're in the strongest position. But I mean, I know Adam did a show yesterday on Jim Ratcliffe, and I did watch that, and I was like, I got some of the points, but at the same time, I just see Qatar, and I think it's so much smoother, it's so much easier, and it'll be so much quicker as well. Smoother, easier, and quicker. It's the best option. Jim Ratcliffe, there's still debt going. I know it's on Ineos, but there's some debt going. It's multiple people putting money into it. With Qatar, it's Qatar and Qatar only. The debt is wiped. The money's ready to go. Jim Ratcliffe's going to have to wait for profits coming from the club. And I'm not saying that's a bad way to run a football club, because it's not at all. It's just with Qatar, they can pump the money in immediately to get the ball rolling, basically. Training facilities, stadium, all of it can happen straight away with Qatar, and that's what you like to see. And also, there'll be a very ambitious transfer window coming off the back of Qatar. I'm not saying Sir Jim's wouldn't be, but I just think the future is bigger when you look at Qatar. They've got a higher ceiling. So that's why I think Qatar are the biggest option for me personally, and the best option when it comes to Manchester United. And as Fabrizio said, they seem very, very confident that they're going to get this deal done. And that coming from Fabrizio means a lot, 100%, because he'll be in the know about these sort of things. And he won't put that out there if it wasn't right. He won't put it out there that Qatar are confident if it wasn't right. And Qatar wouldn't be confident if they had any indication whatsoever that the Glazers were planning on keeping the club. I'm going to say it right here, right now. I don't think the Glazers are going to keep the club. They are going to sell it. I think all of this stuff coming out about wanting investment to stay in, they probably did want that, but I think this late in the game, I don't think they can change their minds around on this. I think it's potentially a tactic to encourage Qatar and Sir Jim to up their bids to the price that they want. And I think that will eventually happen when it goes round into the next round of bidding. And Snip PZ says Qatar equals debt free. Jim equals debt. And a few people in the chat have said Evan Ferguson, Beth. I did actually want to ask about Evan Ferguson in the Romano video, but I just don't think there'll be any updates whatsoever on that yet. I think it's one that's going to have to marinate a little bit. And I think over time, potentially could get linked to him, but Man United haven't even been linked to him anywhere. I've been looking at it. So I don't think it's one Man United are looking at right now. So it personally for me be a little bit of a waste of a question on this, but he's definitely someone that if you watch my video, I think Manchester United should 100% be looking at as another option in the summer. I mean, not as Man United striker. He's too young for that right now. But if you bought an Osimhen and an Evan Ferguson, that would be amazing for Manchester United. It really, really would be. And it would put the depth level at a very good level. In Evan Ferguson, Martial and Osimhen, you've got multifaceted strikers there that can do different roles and that have got different levels of progression. Osimhen's only 24. I think Evan Ferguson's 18. You've got such a high ceiling with them players, and we've gone from having basically no depth at striker to a brilliant depth at striker. But that's going to cost you an arm and a leg. That's going to cost you near about 200 million if you manage to get them two in. So Qatar, oh God, I nearly knocked the mic off then. Qatar, go and bring the money and let's get this done. That's what I think about things. And I know there's obviously negatives to this Qatar ownership. There's obviously things that I would be uncomfortable with. But there's negatives when it comes to the Sir Jim ownership. There's negatives when it comes to anything in life. You've got to look at what's best for the football club, and I definitely think Qatar would be best when it comes to on the pitch, what you're going to get out of the players on the pitch, and when it comes to Erik ten Hag building a team for the future. Tricky Red 818 says Osimhen needs to work on his left foot but looks decent. Does he need to work on it as much as Anthony needs to work on his right foot though? That's the question. Osimhen obviously he can score with both feet. Obviously, one foot's going to be weaker than the other. That happens in most professional footballers. When you look at Harry Kane, he's just as good as nearly just as good as with his left as he is with his right. So that's a strength that you bring from him. But from what I can see, having a slightly weaker left foot doesn't stop Osimhen from scoring goals, because he has been brilliant this season and he's been scoring for fun for Napoli and the top of the league. So I don't think that's a trouble for Osimhen whatsoever. And Osimhen will be at United next season, says Livingstone Bracer. I mean, I hope so. I really, really hope so. I think it's the most likely option. I really do. I think it's the most likely option. And KMT Bilal says, I want Qatar because they are easily the best option. They can bring United back to their former glory by updating the training ground, etc. Exactly. It can all happen straight away as well. As soon as they get in charge of Man United, they can start doing stuff because they have the money there to do it. And they have the ambition there to do it as well. Osimhen is a monster. And realistically, do you think we may strengthen our midfield? This is one I wanted to quickly talk about before the end of the show. Frankie de Jong looks like a no-go. He's probably got posters of Barcelona up all over his bedroom. I don't know what the obsession is with Barcelona with Frankie de Jong. I'd love a player to have that commitment to Manchester United, if I'm being honest with you. And I think some players that we have probably would have that commitment to Manchester United. He just seems to be a massive Barcelona fanboy, and that's fine. He doesn't want to leave. He came to the theatre, he got beat, and he still don't want to leave. So it's frustrating because for me, Frankie de Jong has all the tools to come into that Manchester United team and absolutely transform it. I mean, Casemiro, unreal central defensive midfielder. Bruno Fernandes, one of the best cams in Europe, in my opinion, especially when he's at his best. We need a ball-carrying midfielder that can progress the ball up the pitch, can help out defensively with Casemiro, but also can progress the ball forward, can keep possession, brilliant in possession play. That is Frankie de Jong. He's perfect at that. We spoke about his turn of pace, the way the ball just sticks to his feet, the way he's so good in a high press. He can beat the high press, the way he's so comfortable in possession. I get why Erik ten Hag's obsessed with him. I really do. And a lot of people think Manchester United's obsessed with him because he would be such a good signing. His profile fits our team like a glove coming into that team right now. It really, really does. Obviously, we've got Eriksen that can do certain things. Eriksen's not really a carrier of the ball. Frankie de Jong carries it out from the back, and he's so strong at that. And that's something Man United desperately need. So I get why Erik ten Hag massively, massively wants him. But it just seems like it's not going to happen. Then you have to start looking at different options. And you look at Jude Bellingham, that's not going to happen. He's either going to go to Liverpool, or I think he might potentially stay at Dortmund for a year, see how Liverpool does. Real Madrid could be on the cards. Manchester City, I mean, Manchester City are really in for him. I just don't see us getting Jude Bellingham. And then you look at other midfielders around Europe, and you have to do a proper scout on these players. Obviously, there's Sabitzer as well that could potentially be a permanent signing, but I really like Lucas Sabitzer. I want him to get a full run in the team. But right now, I wouldn't be confident just signing Sabitzer and that's it for the midfield. I'd still want to get another 8 in. So it's you're going to have to scout around and stay tuned for some videos, because I'm going to have to be having a little scout around and see who could be Manchester United's future 8 if Frankie de Jong isn't on the cards. Oh, people saying McTominay. No, McTominay did all right against Southampton when we were down to 10 men, but no, we need to go up levels. I'm not watching him again next season as a starter in Manchester United. Not that he's really started this season, but our hand has been forced right now with that Casemiro red card. I mean, Camavinga, people putting out there, he's not leaving Real Madrid. Remember when United could have got him and we didn't? And the rumours coming out is because we went and watched him and said there's no point spending 25 to 30 million on him because he's going to have to go in the reserves for 2 years, the under-23s, before we get him into the first team. Brilliant scouting there. You were proved right on that one. I mean, it's frustrating. It really is. And this is why I can't wait for new owners too. New scouting team, better people in charge, more expertise in the football club. Everything is going to just go up levels as soon as we get new ownerships in from top. You know what they say, from top to bottom, and everything's going to kind of trickle down in that form when we get new owners. I mean, Kudus. How did I forget Kudus? I did a video on Kudus. A lot of people thinking Erik ten Hag could transform into a number 8. I don't think that's impossible. It would take work. He's not going to come in and immediately be the elite number 8 we need. It would take work, but he's definitely got the skills and capabilities. I'd be happy with that signing. We've got to have a little scout around. We've got to look at what we can get and what we can do in the summer. We've got to hope to God we have new owners, so we don't have that debt kind of hanging over our heads. So we have to kind of sell to get players in. There's so many players we can sell in the summer. We're going to be okay in the summer, but prices are crazy right now. I mean, Osimhen for 130 mil, we've got to do it. We literally have to buy a striker at that level. We have to. So that's a lot of the budget already gone. And you've got to sell players on top of that as well. It's going to be an interesting summer. It's definitely going to be 2 different summers depending on whether we get new owners in or not. But I'm excited for it to begin. I really, really am. And I'm excited to see who we are linked to, who Erik ten Hag goes for. And I don't think anything's set in stone at the moment, which is what I'm happy about as well, because everything can change and nothing's set in stone at all. But yeah, I mean, lastly, the right back situation. A round of applause for Aaron Wan-Bissaka. He deserved to start against Southampton. Few bad passes, but apart from that, he was brilliant again. I think Wan-Bissaka is great. I was one of the people, when he first came into the club, I was like, yes, Aaron Wan-Bissaka, I really rated him. He fell off at that point, and I genuinely thought he was done at Manchester United, and I was like, sell him. I said, right now I would sell him. I said that. He's got his head down. Erik ten Hag was naming Malacia and Lindelof over him as a right-back option for Man United. That's how far gone Wan-Bissaka was. He got his head down. He worked hard. People were laughing at these videos of him, dribbling and trying to cross it in when he was training hard. Don't laugh when someone's trying to improve themselves, because the guy, with the help of Erik ten Hag, obviously, has worked hard and he looks like a different player. And there's still room for improvement as well. He's still young. I mean, how old is Aaron Wan-Bissaka? I'm just going to have a little look of that before I end this video. How old is Aaron Wan-Bissaka? Or someone in the chat will probably tell me before I even get there, because I know he's still young. See, he's 25 years old. That's still not, I mean, I thought he was like 24 to be fair, but that's still like, he's not even reached his prime yet. He's still got a lot of years to go. Erik ten Hag has another pre-season with Wan-Bissaka. Who knows what you could get out of him? He's looking very, very good. I mean, we all thought Dalot was undroppable. And now for me, Wan-Bissaka is in better vein of form and should be starting ahead of him. So well done for Aaron Wan-Bissaka as well, because even Romano said he doubts we're going to go for a right back anymore. We were linked to Frimpong, we were linked to these players. Eric Ten Hag's going to assess it at the end of the season, but right now they're very happy with Wan-Bissaka and Dalot. That's what Wan-Bissaka's done in the space of a couple of months, like 3 or 4 months he's done that. So well done at Wan-Bissaka on that one. I think it was 3 months even he's done it, less than that. It's crazy how he's turned his season around. He's such an important part of the team now. And at one point, he was completely written off. So well done to Wan-Bissaka. But yeah, let's just wait for the summer to come round. We'll have more updates from Romano, and hopefully the ownership will happen sooner rather than later. But Romano said Qatar are confident. I mean, international breaks coming up before that. We've got crucial games against Betis. Hopefully we can win it. Adam has actually just travelled to Seville, I think, today. So waved him off on his flight there. He's going to Seville. We've also got the FA Cup game against Fulham, a really crucial point in the season right now for Man United. The season is on a bit of a knife edge. We could either bounce back, get into the top 4, potentially get an FA Cup and Europa League trophy, or we feel the loss of Casemiro, we feel the loss of injuries, we feel the fatigue. And I mean, one loss against Newcastle at St James's Park, and things are kind of looking a little bit, shaky. I think we're going to get top 4, and I think we can definitely get another trophy. But I mean, I'm nervous. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm nervous. So still, every game is so important for Manchester United right now. And I mean, another trophy, and I'll definitely be in Budapest when we get to the Europa League final. I tell you that. Some people ask me why I'm not going to Seville. I wanted to actually go. I really did, and I was going to go, but I have to stay here and cover the forum for you guys. So that's what my job is this weekend. So catch me on that. But great updates from Romano as per usual. Thank you for everyone for getting your questions in the chat and commenting as well, and being supportive. I really, really do appreciate it. I'm glad we can have that kind of banter now about the goalkeeping situation rather than people just crucifying me 24/7. But thank you for getting all your chats in, and make sure you like the video as well. We've got more updates coming, more journalists coming on the channel for you guys, keeping you in the loop as per usual. But it looks like Manchester United are looking at Osimhen and Kane for the summer. It looks like Qatar are confident that they're going to take over Manchester United. Wan-Bissaka looks set to stay at Manchester United. De Gea potentially set to sign a new contract. Get in the comments down below, like the video, subscribe if you haven't already. And thank you for watching, everyone. I will see you on the next one.